Friends, welcome to the shed. Now, I know I did in the past a bit of a shed tour video and showed all the little knickknacks and described what the shed is. I think it was in the video that I painted the Spindatt logo onto the wall. But because of the February challenge prompt in the community tab, someone said, you should do a shed tour. So I assume there's some new people here who are not completely up to speed on exactly what or how the Spindatt shed shop has come to be, or why it exists, or how it is. So I figure it's a good subject, good topic to revisit today. Also, how about that dollar store off-brand Peter McKinnon intro? Pretty good, right? First, let's get the technical aspects out of the way, shall we? So, for those of you who don't know, this shed, is 10 by 16 this way, and the ceiling where the beams are, it's a little better than 6 feet. It's probably like 6'4". Whoa. The electrical looks legit, but it's just an extension cord from a plug on its own breaker from the house. I wish that was a little different. Don't quote me on the time frame, but I think it was 2 years ago that my friend Jeff and I insulated and drywalled the entire place. It also only had this light. I've upgraded the lighting to these plug-in LED overhang lights. They just plug into these surge protectors on the wall, and I use the switch here as my light switch. Insulating, drywalling, and lights were easily the best investment that I made for this entire space. All right, let's talk layout. So this should be a fairly familiar frame for you as a viewer of this channel. I'll call this stage view, the way I look. So to the right, stage right, is kind of the most permanent fixtures of the shed shop. Up here on the wall, closest to stage, is just some really basic floating Ikea shelving, which was kind of important because all of my junk that's very much on display right now typically ended up on the floor, and it would kind of encroach my walking area or like wherever I was presenting. So getting something on the wall to kind of just get all that trash and garbage off the ground was a pretty important step in just making sure that the footprint of this space remains as usable as possible. These are more permanent fixtures that can be on the ground because I'm not walking around nearly as much in this area. So the toolboxes are here, and then further from it, of course, is the workbench, and actually I do some editing in here from time to time. So I try to have this area in a position that I can actually get my knees under it. Obviously right now it's not because I've been skateboarding and riding BMX in here, but this does act as a workbench for tinkering on mechanical things and for editing. So a lot of times my sleeves end up being really dirty hanging out here too much. So yes, stage right is very much the permanent fixtures, a lot less modular, and I do my very best to not let it come in any further than basically the width of the workbench itself. That way I have this 16-foot long, 8-foot width lane open for any type of use. Just so long as I take the time to move all the bikes that are in here all of the time for storage out so that I can do the stuff that I want to do. And I don't always do that. Now, another important point of the layout is the use of the rafters here. The rafters I'll use to store like my park tool stand. Thankfully it folds up really nice and can tuck up in there pretty good. But obviously like a plethora of wheels, and you can see some bars hanging down here. There's a GSXR 600 fork up here. Well, it's mostly wheels and like larger parts or larger tools that I can't hang on this wall. Obviously the thing I grab for the most is the stand, and it's you know, easy enough to slide up and down, so I don't mind putting it up and down there as long as there's a clear space for it. Now, on the other side, this is where I hang all the cool shit that my friends give me. This pinstripe panel's for my friend Corey. There's a note here for my friend Nick when he sold me his Kashima-coated Fox factory fork for very little amount of money. This Bob Harrow drawing that is just printed from online. One of the Every Bike is a Good Time designs from Mitch. A couple signatures, autographs from friends who have visited. I keep forgetting to get them to do this. A reminder every day to ride a bicycle. That should just be a check mark. This is the original Spindatt Fiend Norton that I drew on Keynote on a MacBook. And then this is the one that Mitch took my idea and like made it actually amazing. Yeah, there's cool stuff on this wall. I want this wall to be like full of stuff like that. Slowly working on it. I think most people working or living in like a small space have these like token phrases, like you gotta be really efficient with your space, or, you know, I can't think of any right now. I wouldn't say that I have any of that. I'm just pretty adaptive, and like when I want to do something, I'll just kind of do it. Yeah, I don't know. I think if you said to someone, I'm gonna take a 10 by 16 shed with 6-foot ceilings, run a YouTube channel out of it, work on bikes, store bikes, and also build ramps in it to skateboard and ride BMX, most people would say, well, you're not gonna be able to do that. Or like might say, it's not viable, it's not enough space, you know, it's gonna be cramped, you're gonna hate it, all those negative things that you'd attribute to a small space, trying to do all the fun things that you like to do. But like, I'll ride BMX in here for like 3 hours and not realize that much time went by. Cause I'm just like messing about, trying, like, it doesn't need to be huge stuff. You're just tooling around. And it's the same with like tinkering on bikes, or like sometimes I'm just in here watching YouTube videos because it's kind of a cool place to hang out. I really personally fight against the idea of not doing something because it's not at this level of where you want it to be. I'm very content to take the small steps, to have small little bites of the things I want until I slowly build up to what it is that I do want. Angela and I were working on trying to like gear up some financing to replace this shed and build up a 24 by 24 foot garage, which would just be like a really big version of this with bigger ramps and, you know, more workbench areas. And that would be the realistic stopgap between this that I have right now and, you know, the never gonna happen dream of having a warehouse that has a skate park in it, a place to work on bikes, and a place to work on cars. But like, I'm not gonna put on hold having little slices of the dreams that I'd love to achieve because they're not the full thing. Just, you know, do what you can in the meantime, because if you don't, well, if you never get here and you didn't get to at least experience some of it, then that just sort of sucks.